The aim of this video is to give some beginner advice on getting up onto foil. I say beginner because it's for beginners and it's from a beginner. I'm still learning myself. I'm only at the point now of learning jibes, but I think that's a good time to be aware of what the troubles were when I was learning to get up on the foil, what the difficulties I faced were, and try and pass some of that on and see if that can help others. The first problem we face is not really knowing where the mast needs to sit in the tracks on our board. Some good advice I was given was to start with the mast all the way back. Forward gives more lift, but we're already using beginner foils, which already generate a lot of lift. So lift isn't a problem for us, but control is. And the further back we have, the more leverage we have over the foil from the board. So starting all the way back is a good starting place. And then you can move it forwards a centimetre at a time each session and see if that improves things for you. The next mystery to solve is where to stand on the board to get best control over the foil. I've found it's best to have both feet over the centre line with the front foot toes over the centre line and the rear foot heel. This way you can lean from side to side to engage that rail and roll over in that direction. Okay, let's take it to the water. So you want flat water. Choppy water just makes it more difficult than it needs to be. And you want to focus on going fast. Speed is your friend and it's what pulls you up onto foil. To get this, you might need to bear away from the wind a little bit and let the power of the wing pull you over the board. Don't fight it too much, otherwise you'll end up heeling over to one side and falling off. Here's a good example of that, and of not keeping your weight over the front of the board. If you don't level the board out as it takes off, it'll continue to rise and stall, and down you go. Another issue is dealing with the wing's power. It takes quite a lot of power to take off, but once you are flying, you need far less to maintain that flight. And your apparent wind will build, and so will the strength in the wing. So you can become overpowered. So it's good to sheet out. Not like I'm demonstrating here. Sheeting out with both hands doesn't really work. You need to pull in with your front hand and out with the back. Okay, let's talk about light wind. So typical advice is to go in good wind, 15 knots plus, but that's not always an option for those of us that don't live in ideal climates. So my advice is don't wait for the ideal wind. Time on the water is the most important thing to learn wing control and balance and so on. And then we can learn to pump to get up onto foil in the lighter wind gusts. So I like to think of jumping to learn pumping. Essentially you want to push down with the front foot to push the board and the foil down and generate speed, and then jump off the back foot to get the weight off the board and allow the foil to take control. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy states there's an art to flying, or rather a knack. The knack lies in learning how to throw yourself at the ground and miss. I think that's very true of pumping onto a foil too. You want to push down and eventually when pushing down to aim at the water, one time you will miss and then you'll be flying on foil. The last thing I wanted to cover today is about altitude control, how to keep the foil down when it's pushing hard against you, perhaps because of a gust or perhaps because your speed has increased or a wave is giving you more lift than you want. In order to do that, it's best to think about moving your hips rather than pushing with your front foot. Moving your hips forward shifts your weight in a more efficient manner and doesn't put too much pressure on your back foot. So think about shifting your hips forward and backward to control altitude, and also leaning slightly left to right to control the roll and therefore the angle that you're sailing towards. Okay, well I hope you found this useful today. If you have, I'm sure you know what to do. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.